Hello friends, Jenkins Dota here, bringing you another Dota 2 video on behalf of DotaAlchemy.com, and this video is going to be part of the What Went Wrong replay analysis video series. And in this video, we're going to be taking a look at a Broodmother replay, a Broodmother mid replay submitted by Craze Shepherd from the Dota Alchemy Discord server, and Craze Shepherd had the following to say about this replay. So I was Brood, and I don't know what I could have done to win my lane or to push an advantage. Was I just way too overcountered in this game? Please help. So we're going to take a look at that. The first thing that I want to say is that you have massive balls, Craze Shepherd, because you picked a Broodmother into a Timbersaw, which is perfectly fine. I think that this Broodmother hero right now, especially because you played it in the middle lane, is very capable of carrying the game against almost any hero, and I think Arteezy has proven that by spamming this hero and third picking it in almost every game as a mid Broodmother. So I think that it is perfectly fine against the Timbersaw, but I commend you for having massive balls of steel picking it against Timbersaw, because it is quite difficult. But anyway, without further ado, let's just check out the replay. So the first thing that I noticed is that you are rushing the Soul Ring in this game, which is absolutely perfect. I think that is completely the right choice in most games on Broodmother, simply because when you have the Soul Ring, it allows you to sustain those spiders, and if you can sustain those spiders, then you have the option of cutting the creep wave, whereas without sustaining those spiders, you can't cut the creep wave. You'll just take too much damage. So against a Timbersaw in particular, you want to cut the creep wave as early as possible, because there's not really a point in laning against him at all, because he's just going to kill all of your spiders and get tons of last hits, and probably deny you as well, and probably kill your tower. So you may as well just cut the creep wave and out farm him, and it's very, very good to do that on Brood, because you can get so much more farm than Timbersaw. So I appreciate the Soul Ring. That is definitely the right choice. However, this hero has atrociously low base damage, 47. It is extremely low. It's very hard to get last hits, especially with somebody like a Timbersaw who can just sit on the lane and bully you, because he has the reactive armor to give him HP. So I would say that what you probably want to do is build into a Quelling Blade first, because that's going to give you basically 50% more damage on top of the damage you have. It'll put you up to like 75, which is a decent amount of damage to last hit with. That's a lot of damage. So that 200 gold will pay for itself very, very quickly by virtue of you not missing those last hits to a hero that can bully you and potentially deny you. So I would say definitely go for a Quelling Blade, even if you want to go for the Soul Ring rush, which is definitely the right choice, but you want a Quelling Blade to move into that Soul Ring a little bit later. So another thing that I'm noticing is that you're getting a lot of your spiders killed, which is perfectly fine in this current patch. Broodmother, the spiders got buffed so that they give basically nothing to the enemy team. It's still something though. As you can see, Timbersaw has a massive amount of last hits. A lot of those are actually spiders. You're doing a very good job last hitting. But with that being said, he does also have some denies on you, and he screwed up some of your last hits that I think that you could have otherwise had if he wasn't bullying you so much and if he wasn't trying to deny those creeps from you. And I think that the tactic that you need to employ in this game, especially when you're playing like a Broodmother versus a Timber, where you don't want to put your spiders on the creep wave against this hero, is you want to right-click him to drag the creeps as you're about to go for a last hit. So you can basically, instead of walking up to the creep wave yourself and using your spiders to move to the creep wave like you keep doing, which is fine in a lot of scenarios, but against like a Timber in particular, or a hero that's denying you a lot, you want to right click him to pull the creep wave to you, so that way he can't deny you. He does not have a chance of fucking up your last hit at all that way, or denying you. And then also, if you do that, he has to choose between using the Whirling Death on your spiders, because they're going to be farther away because you're pulling the creeps to you, or using the Whirling Death to go for last hits. And Timbersaw wants to do both. He wants to get a last hit while going for those spiders as well. So if you can use that tactic to pull the creeps, I think that you would have a lot more farm right now. It's basically on Broodmother at this point in the game, specifically once you pick up the Soul Ring, what I would focus on, instead of farming this camp here, for example, I would focus on putting a web behind the tower. And even if you have to sacrifice one creep wave, as long as you can make your way behind that tower and cut his creep wave, you're going to prevent the Timber from getting all of those spiders, which, like I said, it doesn't really matter anywhere near as much if your spiders die, because he's not getting that much net worth from them. However, with that being said, your spiders greatly speed up your farming speed, so you don't want the Timbersaw to kill those, not because you want to stop him, but because you want to get as farmed as possible, as quickly as possible. So because he cut your creep wave here, he kind of forced you to do it, and you can see how quickly Broodmother kills a creep wave just with her spiders. So I think even if you have to sacrifice this creep wave and you say, fuck it, let him have these creeps, you want to run behind his tower and start cutting his creeps behind his tower. So I really like the fact that you're farming camps. That is absolutely the right idea, especially Ancients, because the thing is, Timbersaw, sure, he's going to beat you in lane, but most heroes can't take Ancients at this point of the game, and Broodmother can, so you want to abuse that. However, if you're cutting the creep wave here, you could cut this wave, take this camp, cut this wave, take this camp, cut this wave, you know, take this camp, and then once you get huge enough, you can start doing those ancients, especially when the tower has died. So basically, you can be applying a lot more pressure on the map. The thing is, this hero, he's going to chase you around like an idiot, because that's what Timbersaws do. They'll always chase your spiders around, but when they do that, they have to choose between allowing their tower to get hit and chasing your spiders around. And up until this point, he's killed a lot of your spiders. So if you run your spiders at him, like for example, right now, you should be waiting for that creep wave. And one easy tactic is just look at the clock and make sure that you're here for like the 10-second mark after the creep spawn. You can also look at your creep wave and see where that is and get an idea to kind of reference where their creep wave will be, because it's mirrored. So you want to intercept that creep wave every single time, because one of the worst things that you can do is exactly what's happening right now, which is you're allowing Timbersaw to get a catapult creep wave, not just a regular creep wave, a catapult creep wave to your tower. If this hero sits and tanks your tower, he will not die, but he will not take it. But if he has a catapult, that's different. If this guy's a good player right now, he takes your tower right now. There's nothing that you can do about it if you give him the catapult wave in front of the tower. This is just a thing you learn to not do against something like a Timbersaw. Anybody who can tank the tower. So this guy, does he tank it? We'll see. Okay, well, he's making like a massive mistake because he can't die. There's no way that he dies. He's literally immortal. He cannot die. You guys can't kill him at all. So I think if this guy is a stronger player, he takes your tower right there and then that's like tremendously bad to lose that tower. This tower is one of the most important towers in Dota, because it's right in front of the Roche Pit. It gives you access to both runes. It gives you access to all of the jungles and all of the ancients. Well, basically 3 of the ancients. So if you take this tower, it gives you so much space on the map, and if you lose this tower, you lose so much space on the map. And then also, you can TP to the tower and basically get anywhere in the game. Like, it's so easy to help your team if your mid tower is alive. Like, the mid tower is so incredibly important. So I think that if you're doing the creep cutting a little bit earlier, you would actually be able to, and it's a little bit hard of a balance, but number one, if you're cutting the creep wave, and you wouldn't have to worry about this happening right now, because they wouldn't have this creep wave at your tower. So it doesn't matter that if they can do this all they want without the creeps do piercing damage to the tower. The heroes do basically no damage to the tower, so it doesn't matter. But if you're cutting this creep wave already, they're going to be chasing you around here, trying to go for your spiders. The tower's going to be dying to the creep wave, and they're not even going to kill you, because look at all these trees. There's no way that they kill you behind here. So I like that you're farming. I really like that you're utilizing these ancients and utilizing the fact that you know you can out-farm them by just going to creep camps. But with that being said, you can also be doing that while pressuring them by going behind this tower. And one thing that I like to do is that I'll take this camp, I'll take this camp, I'll cut the wave here, I'll take this camp, I'll cut the wave here, and then at a certain point, instead of going to ancients, if I consider it very valuable in the game, which in this particular game, because you're against a Timbersaw who can take your tower, I would focus heavily on getting this tower first before you go to ancients. And I know you'll see like Artesia, for example, he'll go to ancients a lot, and the reason for that is because he can basically take this, like when he picks it, a lot of the time he can just take the tower whenever he fucking feels like it, because he just picks it into like really, he's pretty cancerous with how he picks it. He'll pick it into like, you know, heroes that he completely counters. So he knows he can get this tower, and he'll just prioritize farming and taking ancients. But if you're against a hero that's like really hard to take their tower eventually, and they can take your tower like a Timbersaw, then you want to take his tower, because then he's going to feel a lot less safe pushing up here. You could just have, you know, your Pugna come in and gank him, but he's super safe with this here. So I think taking, like, focusing on this tower is a lot. It's going to give you the same amount of farm as you're getting right now, if not more, and then apply way more pressure. And that's one of the things about Broodmother that's kind of frustrating as a Broodmother player, is that, like, this hero is incredibly good at flash farming and taking over the game, but it's actually quite hard to end the game on Broodmother. It's very hard to close out the game, to push an advantage, which is probably why you asked the question in the first place, because it is genuinely a very hard thing to do. So with that being said, it's actually important that you're making space for your team. And like the Slark coming over here and trying to pounce you, that's really good. That's space made for this bottom lane. That's space for the Pugna to take this tower. So that's great. The fact that he's doing that. But if you're behind this tower, you are going to apply so much more pressure. And I know I'm focusing on it a lot, but it really is a lot about applying pressure, because you can't really close out the game. You're gonna, no matter how good you are, you're gonna need your team to back you up. And like I said, that's why it's actually kind of frustrating to play this hero, because if your team is really bad, there's almost nothing you can do. But with that being said, if you are providing enough space for your team, nobody's insane in Dota. Like, people will take the space because people are greedy. People are naturally. So at this point, 19 minutes in the game, there's nobody defending this tower at all. and you could have a web there and be building your webs on the ancients and on the camps, especially these ones. Like if you were here, if you're farming this area, Slark would have nowhere to farm, and he's actually farming this area. So you can see directly, if you were taking this farm, how you would be limiting the enemy team by taking the farm that they want to take. So you'd actually be screwing over the enemy team by taking this farm. You would be making space for your team to farm this area, which you're farming. So you can see here how like 1 camp, 2 camp, 3 camp could be farmed by your team, and then you'd be gaining this camp, and then these ancients, which you are taking. I do like that you're taking these ancients, but you'd be taking 2 extra camps. So that'd be a +5 camp per minute bounty that you guys are getting if you were taking this farm. And then obviously, like I said, with the pressure and stuff and making space, there's that, and then taking the tower as well. So there's a huge gold deficit on this map just because of the area that you're farming, when I think you're fully capable to farm in the less safe farm. So basically, the gist of this is that it is a hard game to play Broodmother. I definitely think that like it would take a lot more than just like regular Broodmother play to win this game. But with that being said, there's still some inefficiencies and stuff that I think you can very easily work out going forward, where a game like this you could absolutely win it just by playing a little bit differently. So one thing that I do want to say late game wise is that I respect the fact that you went for the Silver Edge and Phase Boots build so that you can kill the Timber Saw. That makes a lot of sense from like kind of a solo perspective. However, with that being said, it's pretty important in a game of Dota to kind of recognize what your job is, and kind of the fact that you can't do everything naturally. Your team needs to help you out, and you actually have heroes that are very capable of dealing with the Timber Saw. So I understand the fact that he kind of counters you in the game, and I have that impulse too, where it's like, okay, this fucker counters me, I'm going to counter him, I'm going to deal with him. But I actually think that if you spent this gold on something else, like if you got like a Blink Dagger Diffusal, for example, or if you built an earlier BKB so you can't get killed by the Skywraths, or you can stick on the Timber with without caring about his magic damage. Like there's a lot of magic damage on this team. Basically, if you spent this gold on something else and instead let your team counter the Timber Saw, like as you can see, your team actually just killed the Timber Saw. He's dead. So I really think that this Silver Edge, just given the heroes that are on your team, this Silver Edge was not a great item choice. And really, I mean, it's not the item in particular, because I actually really like your build. I think it's really creative and cool. But with that being said, what is more important to take from this, and something that I learned recently, is that there are certain jobs in Dota. Like you only need to do certain things. Like if you have heroes that are already doing a job, you don't need to do that job better, or you don't need to keep, it's redundant to keep adding to that job, right? So your team, for example, you know, what does your team lack? Your team kind of lacks like a frontliner. So why not get a BKB, go in and allow your Clinks and allow your Marauder and allow your Pugna to do like a crap load of damage? You know, why not build that BKB? Why not build into a Scotty? You know, it's in that way, maybe those fights go a lot better. So here we are in the late game, like super ultra late game. They have Megas. And one thing I do want to say is that I think it's kind of a miracle that you guys have survived this long, just because you're dealing with like a Sniper, Slark, Timbersaw lineup in techies, like, and Skywrath, honestly, with especially if he gets an Aghanim Scepter. Like, these heroes are ridiculously good in the late game. And sure, you do have the Pugna, sure you have the Clinks, but Sniper and Slark are just about two of the hardest late game carries in the game. Timbersaw's not all that good, but he's probably on the same level as like a Pugna and a Clinks. Then Techies is like an insane support in the late game, whereas Undying is completely worthless in the late game. Marana as a, well, he's kind of farmed, but I mean, still kind of worthless at this point. These heroes are just insanely good in the late game, and I just think that the fact that you guys have held on until this point is impressive. But I think that you could have snowballed your advantage in the early game, and that's kind of how you win this game. Like, I think draft wise, it was more of a timing thing. Like, at this point, it's really hard to win. I mean, this hero in particular, this Sniper hero, like, it's so hard to beat this hero in like the hyper late game. It is so incredibly hard, especially if you don't have a Blink Dagger to get on top of him. In fact, that's actually one thing that I do want to say before closing out this video. A Blink Dagger, like in the hyper late game, especially when you have the Nullifier and Bloodthorn items, like you can blink on somebody, Bloodthorn, nullify them, BKB, and then there's literally nothing they can do to save that guy, period. And if that's a Sniper, that's the game right there. Like, you can kill a Sniper, you can kill a Slark. These are like hyper carries. If you get on top of them, you can kill them, but you really have no way to realistically do that, and his team can just back him up and save him. But you could blow him up if you had a Blink Dagger, which is a very common build, by the way. That was like a Chinese thing. Chinese players were doing that for a long time, and then just recently with like Arteezy, he always goes for the Blink Dagger build and does the kind of blow up people with this combo. But at this point, I mean, you guys are kind of screwed. Like I said, I think their lineup is like superior in significant ways in the late game, and obviously you're against Megas, so like you're kind of screwed. So anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. I do appreciate it, guys. If you have any replays that you want to share, that you want me to check out, please post them in the comments below. Post them in the Dota Alchemy Discord. Post them on the website in the comments. That's dotaalchemy.com. If you have any comments on what you want me to talk about in these videos, or whether you think it's a shitty idea for just doing videos, you know, checking out replays like this and just talking about what went wrong, whatever you have to say feedback-wise would be greatly appreciated, because this is bit of a test video. So anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys. I do genuinely appreciate it, and I hope to see you in another video.